Hey everybody, welcome back. Day 2, the afternoon of ClayShareCon, and we're just rolling along. We have Paula McCoy joining us from Colors for Earth, and she is going to go over the exploring possibilities with Colors for Earth underglazes. And so she has her color concentrates, which are her translucents, and then she has her color strokes, which are her opaque ones. And I'm really excited to learn more about these and to see what she's got to share with us today. So let's go down and see how Paula's doing. Hey Paula, how are you doing?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm doing great. So today I'm going to talk about the underglazes, which is the translucent and the opaque. So be sure and ask your questions. I've put together some slides and techniques that I'm going to show you some different pieces, and then we can talk about those things. But before I start that, I want to show you the color wheels, which I think are vitally important to make your own, like Jessica has done, so that you know your application and you know what your glaze that you're using over them does for you. So I'm going to switch cameras here. So with every order, we send out our color charts, and I give you earthenware and stoneware for the color strokes, the color concentrates, so you can see them in 1, 2, and 3 coat application. The color concentrates, which are the translucent here, we have 41 colors, and you can use them for opaque coverage, or I say opaque, but it's a solid transparent. And then great for brush strokes. All right. And then we've got 62 colors of the opaque line. And in that opaque line, we have what's called the spec base. So this is, that's get a bit too much of a glare. This is CS 699, and it's a spec. So like other companies may have a yellow with a spec, or a red with a spec, or a green with a spec, and then you've got the same green without it. We give you the base, and you can add this to any of the opaque or the translucent and have a, like a yellow with a speck in it for a banana or for an apple. Do it with the red. So that's kind of cool. That's one of the unique things about ours. So you just mix it 50-50 with your color, and then you have a speck. Now, if you're using a darker color, it's not going to show up. I mean, that's just common knowledge. Okay. So let's look at these. So here is the color wheel for earthenware. So what I've done on these is show you 1, 2, and 3 coats with a square shader. This is straight from the bottle. Okay. And then here is, and we've got a little bit of a glare. Let me tilt that. This is Mako stoneware plate, and you've got the same color. So there's not a lot of difference. It's just the pinks and purples are the things that can be different. But look at that. I mean, they stayed really well. This is using Mako's SW004 zinc-free clear, and that will help hold your colors with the pinks and purples, and it doesn't allow a lot of the greens to brown out. You can see that those greens are still pretty stable at that cone 6 temperature. All right. And then your color strokes, we have, like I said, 62 colors, and this is showing you the earthenware and the stoneware. And same thing, it's done with I used a 4 square shader, 1, 2, and 3 coats. So make those wheels. There is a template for the color concentrates out on my website, colorsforearth.com. Go to the blog and then go down to color wheel, and I give you a template that you can trace on a plate and do it that way if you choose to. Okay. All right. So anything, Jessica, before I move on
So we
to?
had a question that let's see, I'm getting to the chat. Things move around. So on the Colors for Earth website, under the kits, there's 3 options for the blue plate. What are they?
Okay, so there was a webinar that I did that was blue flower plate. And so there's one that gives you everything, the brushes, the color, and the bisque, and it is 0406 bisque with that. And then the next one is just color, and the next one is just brushes. So you can have it all, or if you already have the colors, you can buy the brushes if you don't have the brushes. So that is the difference on that kit. Specific. It was just designed and put together for the webinar is what it was. And I've left it up
Okay.
there. A lot of people use it. Anything else? Yep.
So that's all we have. Everybody's excited to see you again. They love you. So
Well,
that's
thank you
yeah.
guys for joining. Okay, so like Jessica said, we've got different kits out there. And I'll just pop those up real quick, and then that might spur some questions. So this is kit number 1. I know it says CC enhancer on this particular image. The enhancers is for our glass side. It does say on the boxes now underglaze and enhancers, because I use both kits for my glass, fused glass, and for the ceramic. And so don't freak out. It is the same product. You did buy the correct product. It's okay. So the blue flower kit, this is one that they're talking about. So it just has specific colors. It has the glaze, the brushes, that type of thing. And then kit 2. So what we have is we've got 41 colors. We've broke it down into 3 kits, or you can buy all of them. Depends on your color palette. So like last night, there was a bunch that bought kit 2, some number 1s. And then here is kit 3. So find which ones you like. So the first 2 kits have 14, and this one has 13. I believe it. 13 in this one to create the 41. So here's is the whole thing. And you can buy any of these kits in 1 ounce or 2 ounce size. And I'll show you those when we go back to the other camera. We do have I believe it was last year I put this together, a clay share color stroke kit.
That's
So
great.
these got your black, white, some primary. And the reason I put this together is because these pinks and purples that are the opaque ones do hold better than the concentrate being a translucent underglaze or a transparent underglaze. So I put all the purples, all the pinks, a couple of greens, and then a yellow, red, black, and white. So these would be used for if you wanted to carve through. You can carve through either one, but if you're looking for a solid edge on a plate or a frame, you can use these with 2 to 3 coats and it will be opaque. Now these do have a little bit of frit in them, tiny, tiny bit, so I wouldn't put them on the foot of the piece or anything that's going to touch your kiln shelf. Okay. And then we have the ceramic underglaze sampler kit. This is a great beginner. It's got all your primary colors and a pint of our gloss medium, which is our low fire clear glaze. I use that and I mix it 50-50 with the concentrates to create more blendable, especially if you're new and you don't move very fast when you paint. It's a good idea to keep it open longer so that you can manipulate it and do different things with your products. So that's the reason I put that kit together. But don't hesitate to mix your own colors also.
And we had some questions about if they work with specific glazes like Amico Clear. Will Sahara zinc-free glaze from Amico work on top?
I have used the HF9, and that one is okay. To me, it bleeds out or burns out the pinks and purples more than the Mako clear glaze.
Okay.
And then I've used your 2167, and those are really the only ones that I've tested.
And the Amico mixing clear, I do know is a zinc-free clear. So those of you who were asking about that, give it a test. I mean,
Yeah,
you won't
zinc-free
know
is the
when.
best. Yeah,
Zinc-free is always the best option when you're going to put a glaze on top of underglazes, any underglazes or transfers or decals. You want the zinc-free.
right. Okay, so here is those color wheels I was showing you. It's just a better way of displaying them. So this is your stoneware. This is showing you with the Mako SW004 on the left-hand side, and then the earthenware piece has got my clear glaze, which is the CSP 01 gloss medium NT clear. And then the next slide, as soon as my machine comes back up, I just had a hiccup. That's what we
So
need.
have you tried your gloss medium at cones 5, 6?
You know, I did in the very beginning, and I had an issue. I'm waiting for my thing. Wouldn't you know, my computer would go. I found that it crazed. Okay.
Yeah.
But I just heard from it's a long story, but I heard from somebody today, and he has tested it on his particular stoneware body that he mixes himself, and it does not craze so far. So I need to do more testing.
Glaze fit. Yeah. So Um, yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, okay. All right. My screen finally refreshed itself. Thank goodness. Whew. All right. So here is the next one. Let's hope so this is just your color concentrates. Same thing. This is earthenware and the color strokes on earthenware. Okay. So a lot of people have been asking about the underglaze transfers, how to use it with them. I do have a few videos out there, and I'm sure hoping I'm not going to have problems. Okay. So this is showing you the color concentrates on top of the transfers, and I've put the verbiage there. So put your transfer on your damp clay, fire, shape your piece, fire it to bisque, and then use your color concentrates over it, and then clear glaze and fire. Just like anything when you're using those transfers, if you overwork it, you can smear it, and Jessica tells you that all the time. So be careful, but this is just a different way to add color to those, which I love. I love the hydrangea one. All right, so as far as just generic information, colors for the concentrates are a translucent or a transparent underglaze. Your color strokes are an opaque underglaze, and these are true underglazes. They do not gloss on their own. You have to apply a clear or a transparent over the top of them for them to be food safe. Okay, and I've said that both of them need clear. And I've shown you the bottles there. They're in a gel base. They glide onto the surface really, really smooth. They don't dry chalky, which a lot of people talk about that. They like that. And then they can be mixed with the medium, the gloss medium, which is our low fire or cone 0406 clear glaze, to allow and extend drying time, blendability. I do that in a lot of my different techniques. And then here's some pieces that I've used stencils with the product. So the pumpkin plate, I applied some color strokes down, and then I put a stencil over it and stenciled on the color. The middle piece was done on damp clay. I impressed the stencil into the ware, and then I took a pouncer sponge and I used the color concentrates and I pounced the color on to get that. And then I used like 3 different colors and like an ombre type from light to dark to the center. And then the butterfly one we did, I believe, last year on
Last year.
ClearCon.
Yeah.
And you can apply, you do stencils on greenware, you can do it on bisque, you can do it on Magelica or Myolica also. So there's different ways to use the colors. Let me
So these
stop and
are
ask.
all, yeah, these are all past classes or demonstrations you've done. Where can people get the handouts
Yeah.
for
So
these?
they can go to the website, colorsforearth.com, go to the blog, and then go to ceramics, and then just pick a picture of something you like. Click on that. If there's a pattern or a PDF, you can download it, and the video is right below that. So you don't have to go search on YouTube. Although they are in categories on the YouTube. It is a YouTube, it's just a direct link. So you got color concentrates on ceramics, you got color strokes on ceramic. So check all of those different, you can categorize them. Okay. You can also antique with the colors, whether it be the concentrates or the color strokes. Apply the color, wipe it back with a damp sponge. These are just some examples. The tray at the top, I wipe back the 681, which is like a tan type color. And then I use my semi brush and I applied white color strokes because I wanted it opaque to cover up some of that brown on top of the flowers so that they had a little bit different value there and they stood out more. Any questions before I move on?
So there was one, could you explain a little bit the difference between the translucent and the opaque as far as the chemistry goes?
As far the color concentrates are in a gel base and they are nice. They're pure pigment in the gel base. There's no clay. Okay, no glaze. And then as far as the color strokes that are the opaque ones, they have a tiny bit of glaze in them, which is the opacifier that makes them opaque. A smidge of clay and then the pigment. So that's what makes that one different. So we put an opacifier in there to make it opaque. Now, let me pop back up to me. Let's see if it'll switch over. So in the color strokes, you don't want to use those. That's the opaque ones on the bottom of the piece because they do have that little bit of glaze in them. The color concentrates are just a pure pigment in a gel base. Bottom line, great for brush strokes. Can you get opaque coverage? Yes, you can, but it's a translucent or opaque. I think you referred to it as luminescent.
Yeah, because you can see through it and you build up depth with your layers.
Right,
So
right.
if you put 3 layers on, you're going to get a fairly solid amount of coverage, but it's not flat,
Right. And the
because of
darker
that transparent
right. And
quality
the
of your
darker the
CFP.
color, it's going to be more opaque, of course, versus a lighter color for sure. So hopefully that answers that. So you have to have a clear glaze over them no matter what to make them food safe. Somebody was asking on the board the other day about they wanted the colors softer, not as bright. Of course, I like
saw
the
that. Yeah.
bright colors. I'm going to switch to the overhead and discuss that real quick. So this is one that we did last year. So you can go back if you're a Prime member and watch this video. This one I put Amico's HF11 on, and I'll show you a slide on that in a minute, and use the same color concentrates and a couple of color strokes on here. And the colors are softer. They're not as vibrant because you're on that white base. It's a Myolica or Magelica technique. So if you're on here and you were that, I don't remember the name of who it was, but that might be an option also, or by mixing white with the color concentrate, and that will make it a softer, more pastel color. But
I think that's the suggestion I gave, was to mix some white in to make it more pastel-y. Because if you thin them down, they're still really vibrant.
Correct. Correct. Now, in the color strokes, okay, which come in these bottles, the opacifier that's in there, and I don't have the bottle, but we have an additive, so to speak, a CSP02 designer glaze medium, which is an opacifier that you can add to your concentrates to make them more opaque if you don't have the color strokes. But you never want to, and I don't have a bottle here. I should have brought that out here. You never want to put that as an overall on top of anything because it has an opacifier. It's inside here. So we've already got it in here, but if you only have the concentrates, you can mix it with it. So to save you money, yes, I'd love to sell you more color, but if you're on a budget and you can't do it, there's different additives. And that was one of the things about the previous owner, Patty Booth, that I bought the company 18 and a half years ago. She had all those different, like the spec, where you can add the spec to the colors. When you do that, it makes it cheaper for the customer. You don't have to have, so many bottles of paint because all you're doing is adding different mediums, which is an extender or an opener to those pieces or to those products. Okay. All right. So we got the application and the stencils and the antiquing. So I'm going to go back to that one real quick. So put it on, wipe it back. If it's a really dark color, I would only do a small area. I wouldn't do a whole 12-inch tray. I would do maybe in thirds and wipe it. But it does have the gel in it. It will stay open. You can wipe it back, constantly rinsing your sponge off, because otherwise you're just moving it around. You're not removing it. Okay. And then, of course, you can do brush strokes. So here's some examples of different classes or different lives that I've done. And there's quite a few out there. So you can use your color concentrates on greenware, on bisque, or Myolica. And I would use the color concentrates for brush strokes. They're a thinner product. You can get a crisper edge when you're using square shading, square shaders or around whatever you're trying to do. This is Sumi shading, and that goes back to my Sumi brushes that I've done for years. I developed those brushes over 30 years ago, took a China painting class, wanted to get that China painted look, and this is what I came up with. So you can do I think the first Glacier Con is the upper right-hand corner where I did those flowers. We Sumi shaded just a little bit of color if you like things nice and soft. The heart was last year. And we did the watercolor background and then did some shading on the flowers. The watercolor background one, similar to the rose that I did last night for you guys. That's just a different way of using products to get the watercolor look. And then the one with the butterflies and flowers, you're shading different areas with different colors and layering color up on those. So some of those are paid and some of those are free tutorials. You can also stamp with the color concentrates or the color strokes. Again, I lean towards the concentrates because it's highly pigmented. I can do a lot with it. If I'm looking for solid coverage on something, that's the reason I go to the color strokes. So the pumpkin piece is one that I did on a live. I stamped directly on the bisque, but I've showed you other examples there. You can do a watercolor background and then stamp on top of it and get more of that faux scrapbooking paper, that type of thing. So there's all different types of, applications for it. So don't leave out stamping because somebody says, oh, I can't do brushstrokes or I can't paint. Well, I know you can do the watercolor background, and I know that stamping is very, very easy, and that's a way to create a very versatile background. And then here are how you can use the concentrates and color strokes to carve with. So whether you do a design and then carve through it, which I did on that tray, on the flowers, or you do the mishima that Jess does, you can do that way. And then the vase up there, I banded color on, did the transitional, like an ombre. And then I went through and did some brush strokes and carved highlights. So multiple ways that you can use it. All right, any questions, Jess? I know I'm moving
Yeah,
fast.
there was no there. So this person has some velvet underglaze, and they want to know if they can use them under the color concentrates.
I say test anytime you make apples and oranges, but Jessica uses a combination of,
I
I'm
mix
only
it
going to use
all.
my product. Yeah, you mix and do anybody and
Yeah,
everybody. So if it's a commission piece, I would say do a test to make sure it's
yes.
going to work. But if
But
it's
I will just
yeah,
finish. I want to add something at the end.
go ahead.
Sorry,
Go
honey.
ahead.
No, I was just going to say I have never had a problem with your colors for Earth interacting or having any bad reactions with any other company's product. So whatever you're using out there and you want to add colors for Earth, don't hesitate. I've never had a problem, and I've mixed them with just about everything.
Okay, great. That's good to know. Okay, then here's just painting on greenware, like the piece in the middle with the lovebirds. That was all painted on greenware on a large, it's like a 16-inch charger. And then the lemons were on bisque, so was the plates. And then the toucan pieces are piped with my low fire clay dimensions, we call it, which you pipe an outline, basically build a dam, and then you put your color inside it. So those are just some different pieces that I've done. And all my designs can be found on the website. Go to the education tab and you can scroll through and purchase downloadables. But check out the blog first for the free stuff and then work your way up to some of the others. So here's that mug I was talking about. So do my Olica. So the sunflower on the left is got my Potterstone buff glaze, which is a speckled matte glaze for earthenware. And you can actually bake in that glaze, which is great for earthenware. You don't see that a lot. I've done it for almost 30 years with it. So you put the glaze on, I finger sand it to get a smooth application, and then I use the concentrates mixed with a little bit of the matte medium to keep it a matte finish. If you wanted to change that, you can make it a gloss finish, which I'm going to talk about when I move across the slide there. So the birds, you can see it unfired and fired. There's not much difference. On the left is the white Amico glaze underneath. On the right is bisque. So see how the bisque one is a little bit brighter at the bottom when it's fired? Or excuse me, the white one is shinier. No, I'm screwing up. The right side is just on bisque, the color put on there. The left is on top of that white glaze. So the person that wanted the color softer, you might try putting an opaque white glaze down first and then apply your colors on top. I know that's a little more cost, but it's worth a shot. You're going to have to find what you like to do. Then on the right is one of Mako's stoneware bowls, and I used their lilac matte. This was also, I showed that in the video last year, and I used the concentrates on top of it. You can put the gloss medium with the concentrates, and you would have a shiny versus a matte background, which is kind of cool. If you're looking for a different, if you tilt it in the light, you'll see a difference. And I do not have that. I actually left that piece at Marjan's 2 weeks ago when I was out there for them a sample. So But does that explain that? So you can use it as Maiolica. I've used it over other brands. It seems to work fine. There again, always test to make sure, especially if it's a commission piece. Okay. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay. Moving on to the next one. So blending techniques. I do a lot of this on my lives. So like the leaves are a 3-color blend. You can do it with 2 colors. I've added the medium to the concentrates to keep that color open longer to allow me to manipulate and blend it till I get it a nice transition and it doesn't look like a stark line of light and dark green. You can also stipple on. I've done that on the lemon, stipple on techniques to achieve different levels of color because you've added more to one area, less to another. On the pear and cherries, it's a matter of layering color on the pears, layering multiple coats on the cherries to get an opaque coverage with concentrates. And then we did the olive piece last year also. And it's just a combination of layering on the olives and then the bricks, different techniques. So there's so many different things. Check out all of those free videos on Clayshare and the ones that I have on the blog. I think it'll make a difference and see something you like and then jump in and try it. So here's my definition of your color concentrates are referred to a lot of times as CCs, standing for color concentrates. The translucent underglaze, the darker the color, they can be used for solid coverage with 2 to 3 coats, like I've done on the black check or lines out on the side of the rooster piece. So that's got 2 coats of black, CC 101. The mushrooms show some color strokes based in and then some shading. And then the bee, actually the background petals on the sunflower is 1 coat of concentrate. And that color is on stoneware and it's really nice and solid. So it's all in the brush you use, the application of the color. But your brushes will make a difference. I like my Sumi brushes for 85% of my ceramic painting. They're a natural hair. I get a better coverage versus a cheap tack, and I don't mean to say cheap, but inexpensive tack-on brush. It doesn't hold the product like your natural hair brushes do. And then your color strokes are referred to as CSs. That's the abbreviation, and they are the opaque. Same thing, 2 to 3 coats. And you see that on that Zen flower plate that I did a couple of years ago in Wisconsin. They both need to have, to reiterate, they both need to have the clear glaze over them. They do not gloss on their own. Okay. And then you can silk screen with the products. On this particular, these 3, I used the coal black, the CS color stroke 601. I thickened it with our color thickener. Different companies have color thickener. And then you can silk screen on with a squeegee, put it, above your screen. And I've got a couple of videos and things out there on YouTube also. I usually set my color because I want that black outline not to move. So I do it on bisque. Generally, you can do it on greenware, fired to 04 to set the color, and then come back and use your concentrates, which are translucent, on top of those. And that way your black lines will show through. Any questions on that?
No, I'm just gathering a few samples after you finish before
Okay.
we say goodbye. I'm going to share different ways I've used your colors,
Okay.
and with different products. So
I
I'm
have,
excited. I'll share that.
okay. And then, do I have time? Are we still
You
good?
absolutely, oh my gosh, you still got like 10 minutes. You have plenty
Okay.
of time.
So, at the Atlanta area show, I'm going to show you, we announced something, and I'm going to promo that right now. So, looky here. So Melanie from Ceramipix asked me about 8 months ago if I would collab with her, and she is now selling Paula McCoy
Ooh.
collections, which are some of even my hydrangeas I painted on acrylics, the butterfly I did on a card. So it is things, and the line art. So this is more to come, but this gives you a little sampling of it. And I have a couple of different slides I'm going to show. So the poppy here, those outlines is a decal. I didn't have to do that all myself. So kind of like her seahorse that she did last year. And I think she's doing a Mandela this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can ask her to create the mask for the decal if you want. So I put the mask down. I did my watercolor background, peeled up my mask. I sketched in where my petal lines were painted, clear glazed that, fired it, and then I put the decal over the top and fired it back to an 012. And you don't have to sit there and do a line work. Is that awesome? It's pretty exciting.
Very exciting.
I like to do
Love
line
it.
work, but those people that don't, or they say I don't have a steady hand, this is another option for you. And then you can just buy them in the colored if you don't want to do the line work. So this is what they look like when you get them. You get your instructions. There's Melanie's information. They have a yellow coating that fires off. You will not see any of that at all. And then here's some of the colored ones that she's got available, different sizes. And this is from her website. So like you can go out there and you can purchase the different ones, and let me show her website live here. So you can actually go out here and you can click on one of those and then purchase it if you decide to. Okay.
Melanie will be joining us tomorrow at 1:30.
Okay. There you go. So let me see if I can get back to me, maybe.
So we did have a question about your color wheels. If somebody would like to get the full color wheel to print out or download, is that possible?
Yeah, the color, I'm trying to get my screen back. I'm having a technical, it's not catching up with me. Yes, the on the blog, or you can just type in color wheel in the search bar and it will take you, I'm gonna switch back to me.
To it. Okay.
Straight to, yeah, and it'll have the PDF there. You have to print it on legal, like half and half, and then piece it together because it's large. But you could do, I mean, if you only have certain colors, for the kit, just find you one of Jess's templates that's got this, the right amount of edges, and Jess will show you her color wheel when we go back to her.
Yeah.
And, she just freehand did it on there. Okay. Let me real quick switch over. So this is just brush strokes. I taught this at the show, just using your color concentrates straight out of the bottle. Always shake them because they're thick. They congeal in the bottle. So shake them really well. That's going to get them mixed up and ready. You'll think there's nothing in the bottle and there is stuff still in there. Here's some examples of just how you can put the color on and wipe them back. Here's another Mako stoneware mug and brush strokes on that one. And here's those two lives. So those are some of those transfers, underglaze transfers. And then I just came back. So this is all blue lines, and I just sumi shaded with my sumi brushes around the edge, added some in the middle, added some strokes. So you can accent and do some different things with it. If you want, this is a porcelain piece. Can you see how the flowers and leaves are shiny, but the background is just porcelain? So what I did was I took the gloss medium and I mixed it 50-50 with my color, and I did my stroke work. I didn't put anything else on this, then fired this to a cone 5, cone 6, and it glosses that area and leaves your background with the matte finish. So that's a great, if you're doing sculptures and you just want to do some brushwork on it and you want it to be shiny and you don't want to have to go back and put clear glaze over that tiny little area, just mix it with your color, 50-50, the gloss medium, and do your stroke work or paint on whatever you're doing, and it's going to be glossy as long as you don't clear glaze over the whole thing. So I call it spot glazing, which is kind of nice. All right, so, and then just real quick, there's one of our kits. This is the Enhancer #1. So it comes in 1 ounce bottles like this. You can also get the 2 ounce bottles. So all kits are available in either size. Okay. I think, Jess, other than here's one of those stencil ones, and then I did brushwork around it. So that was a freebie, I think, last year on ClayShare Con. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So a couple questions. Do you always add water to your colors when you're using them? Not always, sometimes straight.
When I do brush strokes, unless it's a thicker color, which is usually a darker color, then you may have to add a drop of water and stir it up. But as long as you shake them really well, they're going to dispense in a usable. And as long as you like bright colors, I use them straight from the bottle. Very seldom do I thin them down, just for different techniques.
And this person's colors are getting old. Can you add water to the bottle? And should it be distilled? Like if it's dying?
Distilled is always better because you never know what minerals are in your water. But I've had people have them for 10 years or longer. I've got a bottle that actually is 20 years old because it's a bottle I don't use, a color I don't use that often. Still has the original owner's label on it. And all I got to do is shake and go. So they're going to last. And yesterday we had a great question about freezing. And if it freezes in shipment, because right now we're in a frigid time, just let it thaw out naturally and it'll be fine. Don't force thaw it. That's all I can say on that.
And then how many colors of color strokes do you use?
62 of them.
How many coats? You have 62 colors. How many coats do you use when you're painting them on?
2 to 3.
I'm combining all the questions.
Yeah. 2 to 3 for opaque coverage.
Okay.
Just like any underglaze, like the old cover coats of Duncan's or the Amico Velvets or Rewards, any of those. It's usually 2 to 3 coats.
And then, guys are going so fast. So when you spot gloss glaze, you don't clear glaze over the whole thing. It's just those spots and that's it.
Right. It wouldn't be food safe. It's for decorative purposes, like on the outside of a vase, or like I said, if you had a sculpture and you just wanted something being glossy, like a ribbon around a bunny's neck with some flowers or something like that. It's just a fun way to add a little bit of sheen to it.
And can you use them on speckled or dark clay?
I have not done my test on that. So, I mean, of course, the opaque ones, absolutely. I have a plate made. I need to get that done and I will post it as soon as I do to show you the difference.
I have some on speckled clay and I'll share those in a minute. So they work just as well on speckle. No problem.
I mean, it's
and
just,
you still see the specs.
It's going to come through because it's a translucent. Yeah.
If you use the translucent. Yes, exactly.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
So, and so let's see if there's any more last minute questions. So when you're doing the mush, do you do 3 coats when you're doing that technique? No,
a lot of times
that's different.
Mush is just my background for a watercolor. Now, if you want it darker, you can always put another coat of the same color, or you can go up in value in your color. I always start from light and then go to dark. And that way I can see if it's like, oh, I want it darker. The other neat thing is you can mist with a fine mister. Do you want me? I don't have anything back here that I can show you, but let me go overhead. So what I'm talking about is just a fine mister. We'll pretend there's color on this. Looky there. We got Scandi birds, right?
Oh, look at them.
See how it makes the clay. So if there was color on there, you could stay 6 inches back and mist it, and you're going to see pretty much what's going to happen when it's fired. Actually, I can show you on the rose that we did last night. I've still got it sitting here. So watch what happens. You see it's not chalky, but it's a soft pastel. And then when you mist that, do you see what happens? It's going to show you what it's going to look like. So you can say, oh, you know what? I've got an area too dark. I need to thin that down and move it or whatever. So that's a way for you to tell what your colors are going to look like. They're going to intensify even more, but it's a good way to check yourself.
That's such a good tip. All right, so we have 2 minutes. Anybody have any last minute questions for Paula before she goes? Now you're coming back. You got one more day with us.
No, I don't have any more.
You don't?
If you have an opening, let me know.
I mean, you need to take a break.
Kevin says, no way.
You need to take a break.
Oh,
we can find a spot for you. I'm sure I could squash you in somewhere, but I don't want you overdoing it. You're supposed to be taking a break, but let me know. I've got after we end this.
An underglaze transfer.
Might add Paula. You got something else you want to do?
I'll show the underglaze. I'll do some textured pieces, whatever. I'm a night person.
Should we find
a night person? So
find a spot to stick Paula in? All right, let's see what we can do. We'll see what we can do.
All right. Thank you for everything you do. And
oh my gosh, thank you, Paula.
They can reach out to me on the website listed there. You can call, email, whatever, and I'll get back with you with your questions.
Wonderful. All right, and you're doing a promo right now.
Yeah, do the discount code.
So, and for premium members, there's a special code. So premium members, that was shared last night in the broadcast with Paula. So you have to go watch that if you haven't yet. So awesome. Right. Thank you, Paula. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jess. Take care.
All right. So
Wonderful having Paula.
having.
We'll see if we can squish her in. We're pretty booked this year. This is the most presentations we've ever had for a ClayShare Con. And it gets bigger every year. And every year I say, I got to cut it back a little bit because it's a lot of work. And then what do I do every year? I add more because that's what I do. So we'll see. We'll see. I might be able to find a place. I mean, do we need lunch breaks? Really? I don't know. I wanted to show this. We'll go over to camera 2. This is Paula's CC Kit 1. And I know she can't see it, but these are all the colors fired to cone 5. And all of them did great except the deep cranberry. But I used my 2167 Paula with the deep cranberry and use Mako. Does it stay more cranberry? It does. I did thin this down. That's true. So this is the only color that had any fading on it, and this is with the clear 2167 I use here in the studio. But if I'd used Mako or gone heavier with that, I don't think I would have had the problems. So these are the colors I actually use the most. Do you know that? The Color Kit 1. Maybe because it's the first kit you sent me, but when I do color flooding, and I'm actually going to show that right now, like this color flooding piece, this right here is all of these. So this beautiful tea strainer, which is a class on ClayShare, and we do the color flooding in. So this is a really great way to do it too, because it's a small piece. You can test them out on that. And of course I did put clear glaze over. And then my big plate, Paula mentioned that I did with all 41 colors right here. And this happens to be on Laguna 16 porcelain with the 2167 clear. But if I did it again, I think I'd test it with the Mako and see how that turns out. And then I know Paula shared her beautiful hydrangea piece she did with Underglaze transfers. Here's one I did. The black lines are an Underglaze transfer. It's actually my floral. No, this is Minnie's lace from Sambao that I designed, and they have. I also have a rolling pin with this. And then this one I want to show because it's a combination of Speedball and Colors for Earth together. And you cannot tell which is which. Me and Paula probably could look at it and say, that's mine. But I combined the colors. You know what it is because Speedball has a peach and a melon that I love for my desert colors. And I usually put those in, but they mix beautifully with Paula's colors. I've had no problems at all. So really great. Oh, and then the last one I'm going to show is this mug that I did with the color concentrates as a flooding. And it looks like stained glass, doesn't it? It's so beautiful. So those are bright violet and I believe green leaf on this. So I'll show you, right? I think those are the colors on that. So yeah, so anyhow, lots of ideas, lots of ways to use the colors, and always a treat to have Paula here with us. And we're doing another giveaway tonight, I believe. So we have one tonight for Paula's as well. So come back and check that out. So super huge thank you to Paula for being a part of this year's ClayShare Con. We'll see what we can do about squishing her in. It'll be maybe a short one. We're going to take a little break, switch over, and then we're coming back in a few minutes, and we will have, well, we've got Jeff from GR Pottery Forms coming up next. So go get yourself a cup of coffee, cup of tea, something to hang out and have a really good time. It's going to be fun. So we'll see y'all in a few minutes.